Welcome to Money Talks, a weekly feature on FM 93.5 The Berg and WMEG AM 740. Today we will talk just a little bit about money, maybe some of the things you can do with it, how it can impact your life, some ideas on financial planning and investing, and getting the most out of the money you hope to have, already have, or want to pass down. So sit back, relax, listen, and maybe take some notes, as you may have some questions by the time we're done with this edition of Money Talks. Good morning, Dan Joss. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you this morning?
I'm doing well, thank you. Doing well.
Good.
So, what are we going to talk about today, Dan Joss?
Today we're going to talk about another behavior bias called sunk cost fallacy.
Sunk cost fallacy? So, I don't understand that at all. Enlighten me, my friend.
Well, sunk cost fallacy makes it harder for us to lose something when we also face losing the time, energy, or money we've already put into it.
Okay, so I'm still not picking up what you're putting down.
All right, so if we have teenagers or young adults,
Which we do.
and they make bad choices, and we're
Which they do.
going to hang in with it anyway because we've already spent 18 or 20 years of time and energy and emotion and money. We're going to hang in with it because we don't want to lose what we've already put into it.
And because the law says there are kids until they're 18.
That's right.
Okay.
But really, they're kids forever, I hear.
That's what I hear. Yep.
So if we just take a simple example of driving through a snowstorm or a severe rainstorm, and Robin and I did this up in Northern Virginia. We drove through a rainstorm to get to, I think it was an Andrea Bocelli concert.
Well,
down
he'd
in
be worth
Fairfax,
going to.
and it was nice. But the idea was we were going to go see him and the concert, but it was a rainstorm. But we had bought the tickets. And so we were financially invested in it, and we were going to make sure we saw it.
Yeah, they probably weren't $10 tickets, were they?
No, they weren't. But if someone had given us tickets and we knew we had to drive through this rainstorm or snowstorm to see Andrea Bocelli or maybe someone less famous, we wouldn't have maybe tried so hard.
Right.
Because we didn't sink the cost into it.
So if you're going to go see Billy Bob and the Banjo Boys,
and someone gave us the tickets,
and someone gave you the tickets, you probably wouldn't have
we're
driven
not
to the
gonna
rainstorm.
risk our safety for.
Yeah, no offense to Billy Bob and the Banjo Boys.
Or the people that gave us tickets. They were being generous, but
Right.
we just weren't gonna go for it.
Okay.
So that's the sunk cost fallacy, and
People have sunk a cost into it,
Yep.
and because they've already sunk that money into it, they don't want to risk, they don't want to give it up.
right. They want to get at least that cost back on their return.
And that's probably because as the Americans that we are so often, we don't like to lose.
That's right. But here's a reason for it: is we've put in something and we want a return on it.
Okay.
And so if we apply that to the stock market, if I buy a stock for 100 and it drops to 50, I'm unconsciously or have a bias towards not wanting to sell and admit loss at 50. I at least want it to see it get back to 100 before I sell it and say, okay, at least I got what my cost was back out of it.
Right. You're going to ride that baby to the ground.
All the way into
Or
the ground
until
and
it
then
hits-
below it.
Or until it hits the market that you bought it at.
Right.
And then when it hits the mark that you bought it at, you'll say, okay, finally it's going to do better now.
Well, then we get back into what we talked about a few weeks ago is greed, and so it'll just keep going up from here.
Right.
When I encourage everybody as an advisor is to say, if you had cash, would you buy that today
Okay.
at today's price? And
But you don't sell stocks.
No. We talk about our investments, why we own them, and how they are connected really to what our clients' goals are.
Which is a whole lot more than a stockbroker may or may not be doing, depending on who they are.
Right.
Some of them, their job is to just sell you a piece of stock.
Right. And we do things differently at Joss Financial.
Okay. Because you're not really trying to sell them stocks. You're trying to sell them your services and really provide them with peace of mind.
Right. Peace of mind, financial confidence, and connecting their money to what they're really trying to do in life.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yep.
That's
so
very good.
Just keep that in mind. We have some unknown biases. We've talked about some previously, and now the sunk cost fallacy can be added to your repertoire at the.
So if something's failing,
At
you
happy
can kind of help them work through that notion of, you know what, is failing, just let's go ahead and get out of this and get into something else better. But you'll look at their whole portfolio and work through them with it because you don't have that invested in the stock. You've got your time invested in these people.
Yep.
Okay. Good. If somebody wants to get in touch with Dan Joss of Joss Financial, how should they do that?
757-903-2127.
Excellent. All right. And a website?
jossfinancial.com.
All right. And as always, if someone has a question that they'd like to email in to you or the station, they're welcome to do that. We'd be happy to address that moving forward. You can email the station, info@wmbgradio.com, your questions and thoughts. And we appreciate you listening to Money Talks today.
Thank you.
Money Talks is a weekly program presented for the listener's benefit and entertainment. It is provided at no cost to the listener, and the ideas, opinions, and comments are not to be construed as legal advice, tax advice, investment advice, or other advice specific to the listener. Listeners are encouraged to seek the advice of a licensed professional or other qualified party when dealing with financial, legal, tax, medical, investment, insurance, taxidermy, plumbing, electrical, carpentry, real estate, chiropractic, veterinary, oral hygiene, hot air ballooning, etc. We have given you some food for thought. Now, call a licensed professional such as Dan Joss at 757-903-2127. Thanks for listening, and remember, failing to plan is planning to fail.